You love God. You really want to grow in your faith. But the small talk after the service, the sea of faces, that feeling that you have to be on, it makes you want to bolt for the door. But what if you could find your place and your purpose at church without having to fake being an extrovert? What if you could do more than just survive and actually start to thrive just the way you are? If that sounds a little too familiar, I totally get it. I know exactly how you feel because if you, like me, are an introvert, you'll understand this too. And let's be honest, that can be tough in a church culture that often feels like it was designed for extroverts. By extroverts, it's a world of mingling, turn and greet your neighbor, potlucks, and high energy everything. For years, I was convinced something was wrong with me. I'd sit in my car after a service, my social battery was blinking on empty, and I would wonder, why couldn't I just be more outgoing or more chatty, more? I felt like a failure because the very part of church that seemed to fill everybody else up was just leaving me exhausted, and I felt like a fraud. But here's what I've learned and what I want to share with you today. Your introversion isn't a spiritual defect. It's a design feature that God made. God didn't mess up when He wired you to love quiet reflection and deep one-on-one conversations. This video isn't about a 5-step plan to become an extrovert. The goal here is to give you practical, graceful ways to find your unique spot in the body of Christ, to be yourself, and to see the powerful purpose God has for your specific personality. We're going to shift from a mindset of just surviving to one of stewardship, learning how to faithfully manage the energy and the gift that God has given you. Before we get into the practical tips, we have to build a foundation. So we need to get this one truth settled deep down, because without it, none of the other tips are going to work. And that truth is this: introversion is not a sin. Your introversion is not a character flaw. It's not a spiritual weakness. It's just how God made you. He's the one who designed your brain to process things internally, to recharge in solitude, and to choose deep talks over small talk. For way too long, and a lot of us have been bought into this unspoken message that the ideal Christian is bubbly, outgoing, and the life of the party. We see the extroverts on stage, greeting at the door, and floating through the fellowship hall without a care in the world, and we think that must be what holiness looks like. But that's a cultural idea, not a biblical one. The Bible is full of introverted people God used in mighty ways. Think about Moses, who felt so clumsy with his words that he begged God to send his brother instead. Or Jeremiah, the weeping prophet. Or Daniel, who found his strength by praying behind closed doors. God doesn't need you to be an extrovert. He just needs you to be obedient. He needs you to be you. Now, here's the gentle challenge that goes with this. While your introversion isn't a sin, you can't let it become an excuse to check out. It's really tempting to say, well, I'm an introvert, so I just don't have to fellowship. Or I'm an introvert, so I can't serve. God calls us into community. He calls us to love each other and carry each other's burdens. The question isn't if we'll answer the call, but how. The rest of this video is all about the how. It's about finding the unique ways God wired you as an introvert to live out His call to community and service without burning out or feeling like you're faking it. Your personality isn't a hurdle to your faith. It's the very thing that you're meant to live through. Let's look at tip 1. Redefine your mission. So much of your anxiety at church comes from this huge, undefined social mission. We walk in and feel this crushing pressure to fellowship, which our brain hears as, you must have a deep, meaningful conversation with all 200 people here, or you have failed as a Christian. It's an impossible task, so of course we feel overwhelmed. So the first practical thing you can do is just throw that mission away. Give yourself a new one, a smaller, clearer, and way more doable one. Instead of fellowship, your mission for Sunday morning could be like something like, I'm going to learn one new person's name. That's it. Or maybe I'm going to give one person a sincere compliment. Or even I'm going to ask one person a good question and just listen to the answer. See the shift? You're going from a vague, stressful obligation to a specific, manageable task. This does two really powerful things. Firstly, it puts you back in control. You're not just a victim of a chaotic social scene anymore. You're an active participant with a clear goal. Secondly, it changes the point from social performance to a quiet act of love. Your goal isn't to look friendly, it's to make one other person feel seen. This is all about quality over quantity. And introverts' superpower is going deep. You don't need 10 shallow conversations. One genuine 2-minute chat where you actually listen is a bigger act of fellowship than an hour of just wandering around. Maybe your mission is to find the other person standing alone, the one who looks just as freaked out as you feel, and just go stand near them. You don't even have to talk much. Your quiet presence can be a ministry. When you redefine your mission from act like an introvert to show God's love to one person in a way that feels like me, it changes the whole game. It's a game you can actually win. Tip 2. Find your zone and manage your energy. A huge piece of thriving as an introvert is knowing what your social energy that your social energy is a limited resource. It's like a phone battery. Extroverts get recharged by being around people. Their battery goes up. For us, being around people drains the battery. So to thrive at church, you have to be smart about managing your energy, and that starts with managing your environment. So this means you need to find your zone. Think strategically about Sunday morning. For a lot of us, getting to church a few minutes early is a total lifesaver. It gives you a chance to find a seat, get settled, and have a few quiet moments to pray and get your head right before the chaos hits. You can get your bearings and start from a place of peace instead of panic. Where you just sit matters. Sitting near the back or an aisle can give you a little psychological breathing room that makes a quicker escape if you feel your battery hitting the red zone before the service is even over. It lets you navigate the room on your own terms. And remember, not all church events are the same. The main Sunday service is probably the most draining event of the week. And there are other quieter options. Maybe your church has an early service that's less crowded, or a smaller, more reflected midweek gathering. A small group can be an amazing place for introverts because it skips past the surface level small talk and gets right to the good stuff in a controlled setting. And finally, give yourself permission to take a break. It's 100% okay to slip out into the lobby for a few minutes if you're feeling overwhelmed. Go get a drink of water. Find a quiet corner and take a few deep breaths. That's not rude, it's smart. It's a good stewardship of your energy. You're pacing yourself so you can actually engage in a meaningful way instead of just vanishing altogether. Managing your energy isn't about avoiding people, it's about making sure you have enough in the tank to connect with them in the ways that really count. And tip 3, prepare one thing. Let's be real. One of the most draining parts of post-service small talk is just the mental effort. You're trying to think about the sermon, handle the noise, navigate the crowd, and come up with some interesting things to say on the spot. That's exhausting. But the good news is you can lighten the mental load a lot by preparing just one thing ahead of time. This is your secret weapon. Before you even leave home, just think of one question you can ask somebody. Not a yes or no question, but a simple, open-ended one. Something like, what was the one thing from the sermon that stuck out to you? Or what's something you're looking forward to this week? Or are you working on any fun projects right now? Having that one question in your back pocket is like having a key. You don't have to scramble for something to say. When there's a natural pause, you can just pull out your question. This immediately shifts the focus of you and onto the other person, which is way more comfortable for most of us. It also plays to one of our greatest strengths, listening. We're often great listeners, and asking a good question lets us do what we do best. Our one thing doesn't even have to be a question. It could be a specific compliment. As you listen to the worship or the sermon, be on the lookout for something you genuinely appreciate. Maybe it's a line from a song or a point from the message. Afterwards, you can go to the worship leader or pastor and say, "Thank you so much. That line about grace in the last song really hit me today." It's specific, it's sincere, and it opens the door for a short, meaningful connection without the pressure of a long back and forth. By preparing just one thing, you take all that pressure to be spontaneous off your shoulders and give yourself the power to connect on your own terms. Tip 4, serve in your strength. For a lot of introverts, the word serving at church brings up images of our worst nightmares. It's greeting strangers at the door, teaching a class of 30 screaming kids, or making announcements on stage. And because we don't feel cut out for those super visible, people-heavy roles, we sometimes think that we have nothing to offer. And that is a flat-out lie. The body of Christ needs all of its parts, not just the mouth. Your quiet, focused nature is not a downside. It's a gift the church desperately needs. The key is to find a role that lets you serve out your strengths, not your weaknesses. So many of the most important goals in church happen behind the scenes. Are you good with technology? The AV team is almost always looking for a focused, detailed-orientated person. Do you find peace in organizing things and quiet tasks? Help set up for events, or stick around to help clean up afterwards? Are you a writer? Offer to help with the church's newsletter, the website, or writing notes of encouragement to people who are sick or shut in. Do you have a gift of prayer? Your church needs people who will faithfully pray for the needs of others from the quiet of their own home. Other great spots for introverts can be graphic design, taking care of the landscaping, helping with buildings, maintenance, or organizing the church library. Serving in one of these roles is a total game changer. It gives you an instant sense of purpose and belonging. When you walk into church, you're not just another face in the crowd. You're part of the team and you have a job to do. It also gives you a natural reason to talk to people. Chatting with your fellow tech team members about a fuzzy microphone is way less scary than trying to make small talk with a stranger over stale coffee. When you find a way to serve that actually fits how God made you, you can stop trying to squeeze into a mold that was never meant for you and start being the essential part of the body of God and how God designed you to be. Now, tip 5, give yourself an out. This last tip is all about giving yourself grace. For so many of us, church can feel like this all or nothing social event with no clear end time. The service might be over at noon, but the fellowship can drag on, and we feel this low-grade pressure to stick around until the lights are turned off. That is a recipe for burnout. So, you need to give yourself an out. This is a pre-planned, guilt-free exit strategy. It's a boundary you set for yourself to protect your energy and make sure you can leave feeling refreshed and not totally drained. Your out can connect back to the mission you set up in tip 1. For example, I'm going to stay for 15 minutes after the service ends. I'll try to have one good conversation. After I've done that, I'll have full permission to leave. This isn't antisocial, it's strategic. It redefines what success looks like. Success is no longer staying the whole time. Success is, I accomplished my small, intentional goal. Once you've done that, you're free to go. You can walk away knowing you engaged, you loved someone with your attention, and you managed your energy well. This lets you end on a high note instead of waiting until your social battery is so dead that you feel panicked and desperate to escape. Think of it as a swimmer coming up for air. You can't stay underwater forever. Giving yourself an out is how you make sure you get the air you need. So you'll be ready and willing to dive back in next week. It creates a sustainable rhythm of engaging and resting. It protects you from the burnout that happens when you constantly push past your limits, and it honors the way you were made. You are not failing at church when you leave. You are succeeding at being a healthy, faithful introvert. What are your introvert church hacks? Share one tip in the comments below that helps you navigate church. Let's learn from each other. And finally, if this video was helpful or encouraging, please give it a like and think about subscribing for more content on living out your faith authentically. It really does help the channel reach more people who might be feeling the exact same way you do. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate your support for my Truth Walk channel. I hope to see you in the next video. God bless you and goodbye.